Come on in. The Lair's going back into our S.H.I.E.L.D. database from Marvel Rivals today. We're pulling File 5, someone near and dear to mine, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the rest of you's heart. The webhead Peter Parker, the original Spider-Man, the amazing Spider-Man, whatever you want to call him. He's here, and boy is he fun. He's a ranged duelist, which is Marvel Rivals classification for damage dealer / assault style characters. He's boosting a high skill ceiling at 5-star difficulty like our boy Hulk, meaning it will take you some time to get a grasp on his character, his kit, and how best to utilize it with and for your team. But when you do, you will be gifted with some of the most satisfying gameplay in the game. And I mean, on top of that, this is probably pretty obvious, some of the best suits in the game. Just look at this suit. This is a Marvel Rivals original Spider-Punk 2099. Come on now, y'all. They got to get up out the kitchen. They got to stop. So, yeah, we're going to, in typical fashion, break down his kit, give some overall tips, tricks, strategies for those starting out or that just want to know how this character works. And then we're going to get into some gameplay that showcases off those tips and tricks talked about in the breakdown to the best of my ability. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm no Necros or nothing. Shout out to that guy. Not cranking the sickest 180s or anything like that. But if I do say so myself, I think the gameplay that we got here for him today is pretty good, especially for showing off the stuff that we're talking about. So we're going to pull this file. We're going to get into the webhead and see just exactly have they been cooking up for our boy in this here Marvel Rivals. Starting off, we're gonna do this in a little bit of a different order today, as this move is directly heavily tied into the rest of his abilities. So for the sake of not having to jump around, because we have to mention this, we're gonna start with his web cluster. This is going to be your primary, let's just say this is your primary attack, to be honest. It's got 6 shots in it, and instead of a cooldown, these, as you can see, refill slowly over time, so you don't have to go through a reload animation or anything like that. When you hit a target with this, and mind you, this has significant range. Again, I'll always tell you, don't underestimate the range. This is one of those moves. It's got significant range. When you hit a target with your little web ball, it attaches a spider tracer to the enemy. And this is why we're talking about this move first, because the spider tracer is directly tied into the rest of his abilities. So you want to naturally always be throwing this out. Again, this is going to be your main engagement tool, because his normal attack, as you can probably see up there, is a physical attack. So naturally, this is what you're going to be probably engaging a lot of your fights in, and while your other skills are on cooldown. Since this doesn't have a cooldown or a reload animation, it just has to refill slowly over time, which you get about a shot of ammo back roughly in about 2 seconds. This is what you're going to be throwing out probably 95% of the time, especially, for example, when it's not safe for you to dive in, as getting close getting in close range is going to be the main way that Spider-Man deals damage. So pretty much always just throwing this out and getting spider tracers on enemies to capitalize on the other skills, which we will get into right now. So first up is his normal attack, Spider Power. This is, obviously, as you can see, it's physical attack, nice little combo that deals extra damage to enemies that have spider tracers attached to them. Now you see why we spoke about the web cluster first. We would have been jumping back and forth anyway talking about the spider tracer. So obviously, even if the enemy doesn't have a spider tracer on them, presuming that they're within close range, as most of the time they will be, they're not shooting at you from a distance, not trying to get the drop on you, you'll be within this range anyway. So you want to constantly be obviously trying to get this attack off. Again, whether there's a spider tracer on them or not, because the amount of damage that it does is pretty decent, as you can see. about 5, and let's not say 5, about 7-8 hits to take out your enemy. And Punisher here has more basic health at 250, so I think it's a pretty good bar. But obviously, yes, any enemy that you hit with the Spider Tracer, this is definitely something you want to use, and we'll get into how they combo here, how to combo these abilities effectively as we go over them. But other than that, pretty standard. It's a nice little combo as his primary normal attack. And this is what you're probably going to be going to, as this doesn't obviously have a cooldown or anything. It's going to be your secondary go-to after Web Cluster. It's also got a decent amount of range. As you see, like the kick, for example, can hit in the air. So you can, like a lot of the other melee heroes, hit people that aren't directly on your targeting reticle and still be extremely effective at hitting your targets. It's extremely forgiving. That's something I don't think will change in the final release. So don't worry if they're not directly on your targeting reticle. Just make sure they're within reasonable range of this combo. Again, because people will do a lot of jumping and whatnot. You will too. And you should hit this move. All right, so going into Spider-Man Ultimate, it's going to be Spectacular Spin. Now, as you can see here, it's pretty cut and dry. You're going to stun and deal damage to enemies in AoE around you. There's no target dummies behind him, but obviously it will also hit behind you. It's not going to miss. So if they're near you, like obviously you see how there's like gaps and whatnot, you don't have to worry. The enemies can't be in between those gaps. He's not going to miss. If they are anywhere within roughly this amount of distance, it's got a nice amount of distance too, you're going to hit the target. The damage is, I'll say the damage is decent. For an ultimate, that could probably be argued, because obviously there are ultimates that hit way harder, which makes sense. This is Spider-Man. This isn't Thanos or something, you know. It's not the Hulk or something. Not to take away from our boy Spidey's strength. A lot stronger than people give him credit for. So don't expect to necessarily KO somebody from, I mean, obviously, as you can see, it's enough to take out Punisher here, who again has 250 health. And all those projectiles have to land. So you can potentially take out a target, but in reality and in a real game, there's healing going on. There's all type of abilities and shields and whatnot going off, buffs. You know, in the final game, we'll have Captain America, for example, that gives defense buffs out and things like that. So you want to try to utilize this more as a kill confirm. But obviously, kind of goes without saying that the best time to use this is to swing. Spoiler alert, he has a web swing. Swing into a group of enemies, preferably the back line, and drop this on 2 squishies' heads. Me personally, I try to drop right on top of both supports, and this will probably take out both supports, especially if they've got any kind of damage on them. But it stuns them for a second because they get webbed up, so it's good for that too. We'll go into the combos here in a second. Going into his movement ability, again, spoiler alert, our boy Spider-Man web swings. That's kind of obvious and pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, it's not a whole lot of tips and tricks to give here. Everything that we did on the Venom breakdown in S.H.I.E.L.D. File 2 pretty much applies to Spidey here. Even more so since Spider-Man has a better collision box. Since he's smaller than Venom, that means that he can web swing a bit more easily than Venom and get around. You won't necessarily clip walls and other things as much as Venom does. Again, like I said at the beginning, I'm personally no Necros. And although this is the PC, I have the PC the PC build up here for all our breakdowns and whatnot. I'm personally a console player. You can obviously also use controller on PC, and you're gonna get a much different experience playing the Spider-Man. So you PC players out there this is definitely going to be much better and much easier for you guys out there with mouse and keyboard. Here's to hoping that we get mouse and keyboard support on console. That's something. If not, these devs like to listen. We need to get into the Discord, get into whatever little surveys they put out, and tell them that we need mouse and keyboard for console too. Don't leave those boys out. There's no excuse in 2024. But if I'm gonna give a tip and trick, it's gonna be the same one that I gave for Venom. There are 2 different ways to web swing. So you have, and this is something you have to change in the settings, and it's something settings can be applied individually to each character. So there is automatic swing, where when you press the web swing button, again, it applies to Venom 2, the game will just web swing you. It'll just swing you. So I think this setting is pretty good because you can just walk straight out of a door, press the button, and swing to safety potentially. And then, which I'm pretty sure is what's going on here in this tutorial, it's set to automatic swing. And then there's the manual swing where you then have to choose via targeting reticle what you want to attach the web to and swing off of. And when you get more comfortable with the character, that's probably what you're going to be utilizing. Again, to crank those sick 180s. But other than that, pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, use this to get in and out of danger at all times because Spider-Man's pretty squishy himself. So, getting into his second ability, get over here. I had to, y'all. I'm sorry. You got to, right? Spider-Man shoots a line of web at an enemy, and it has two different effects depending on the enemy that you hit. So, if an enemy has been tagged with Spider Tracer, again, this is why we spoke about Web Cluster first. If they're been tagged with the Spider Tracer, as in they've been hit with a Web Cluster, Spider-Man will pull himself to that enemy. He will, like grappling hook, and it's instant, it's fast. You can't react. The person that does it, they can't really particularly react unless they already popped off an ability. It doesn't like stun them or anything. So they do still have access to all of their abilities and whatnot, but it's going to zip you right to them, as you can see. And if you use it on an enemy that doesn't have a Spider Tracer, like right there, it pulls them towards you. Now, 90% of the time, you're going to want to use this. We'll get into this when we get into the combo more. You're going to want to use this to zip yourself to them. And to be honest with you, again, you're throwing web clusters out and engaging at that range anyway. So 9 times out of 10, you're using this on somebody that does have a Spider Tracer. But don't lose the value of pulling an enemy to you, pulling them off an OBJ, pulling them out of where they could be healed. For example, pulling a healer from the back line into the front so they can be more easily damaged. Don't lose sight of the value in that too. That's something that's obviously going to take a lot more time, but 90% of the time you are going to be using this on an enemy that you've already hit with your web cluster, so they have a Spider Tracer, so that you can pull yourself to them and then get off your normal attack, and then one of your other ability, amazing combo, which we'll get to here next. 9 times out of 10, that's what you're going to be doing, is using it on enemies that do have Spider Tracers, so you can pull yourself to them so that you can combo off your abilities. And to be honest with you, 9 times out of 10 get the kill, because Spider-Man the moves don't do a lot of damage on their own, but together and in a combo, they definitely do. Especially this next move, which we're getting to right now. That move being the amazing combo, which is an uppercut, as you see, that launches the enemies upwards, and it also deals extra damage to enemies that have a Spider Tracer. Now, obviously, first thing that you probably notice is that it's, for whatever reason, hits in an AoE. So while the target that's in front of you, whoever you're actually trying to hit with this skill, will get launched into the air. And again, 9 times out of 10, just to preview what we'll get to in the combo here, you'll probably do a lot of single targeting with Spider-Man. Obviously, it just kind of goes without saying, he doesn't do best fighting multiple people, which is kind of interesting considering that's Spider-Man's thing. In all the other media, movies and shows, this is a guy that does fight the Sinister Six. But for enemies that are grouped up together, as teams typically are, at least well-playing teams are, it's good because you'll hit multiple targets with this. So let's say 6 times out of 10, at the lowest 4 times out of 10, you'll probably be hitting multiple enemies with this, and not just your intended target. So that's great. It launches them in the air. It doesn't stun them, so they do still have access to all of their abilities and moves and whatnot, but it does again a decent amount of damage on its own. But obviously, when combined with, for example, the damage from the web cluster plus the get over here that zipped you to them, then you pop this off. I'm giving you a preview of what the suggested combo is here. By that point, they'll probably be within range of about a quarter of their total HP left, so you'll be pretty close to the KO after getting this move off. So yeah, Other than that, this is pretty self-explanatory. Although, excuse me, again, it'll make sense when we get into the whole combo here, which I'm trying to like wait until we get to the suggested combo part. But yes, AOE uppercut. The cooldown on it is pretty decent. You get 2 of them too, so don't lose sight of that. You do get 2 of these. Cooldown on it is pretty decent, 2 seconds. So it's not a cooldown you'll particularly really feel. But overall, great move to supplement into his combos. Getting into his second movement ability here, pretty self-explanatory. He double jumps. You know, it's not a whole lot of strategies I can get to you there. If you most of you have probably played a video game before in your life, so you know, utilize your double jumps and your web swings to get around. I didn't joke when I said he boasts the best mobility in the game. He does. Web swing makes him faster than all of the flyers, and then combined with this, you really can. You'll see in the gameplay, you can get away with 1 HP. If you're fighting Spider-Man, it's gonna make you angry watching him get away with 1 HP. Other than that, pretty self-explanatory. It's no different than everybody else's double jump. It's a double jump, so use this, and it's got decent vertical range. So use this to get around. Going into his passives, also pretty self-explanatory. He's Spider-Man, so of course he has to have the ability to wall crawl. I personally don't suggest crawling. It's a good way to get killed, unless you're doing a sneaky rotation. 9 times out of 10 you'll be running, which using the PC controls is left click while you're in wall crawl. You'll run. He can run vertically, horizontally, and diagonally, which all characters that have wall movements cannot. For example, our boy Rocket can only wall crawl vertically, or I mean horizontally. I think horizontally or vertically, but he can't do diagonally. But the spider folk, they all can wall crawl or wall run diagonally, which is super great. So obviously this plus the web swing is going to be your main tool. Swing into a wall, run up that wall, in all type of different ways to dodge enemy fire. But other than that, pretty self-explanatory. He's the wall crawler. It's the reason that they call him that. And then getting into his second passive, also kind of goes without saying, he's got the spider sense. So this is going to alert you with a tiny, if I'm being honest, at least as of right now, this is based off of the alpha and the beta, so it's liable to change. And from what we actually kind of heard last night from Dev Video 2, by the time you're watching this video, Dev Video 2 for the official Marvel Rivals is out. A lot of different UI changes have happened. I was going to say admittedly difficult to see, especially in the midst of battle, but it gives you a little spidey sense indicator when you are near an enemy, which again, it's a little bit hard to see. So hopefully that's something, for example, that probably gets touched up in the final, in the full release of the game. And then obviously when you're in the middle of massive team fights, which 9 times out of 10 you will be, this passive honestly doesn't do you much justice or serve a whole lot of purpose there, because there's enemies everywhere and you can probably see them. And obviously if you can see the enemy, then spider sense isn't doing anything for you. But like they're showing you here, it can potentially help you from getting flanked / rotated on, or while you're flanking and rotating to help you locate where they are. It doesn't tell you exactly where they are. You just get the spidey sense signal. But nevertheless, it's these tiny details that I'm still glad that they add in there, even if it's not increasing your productivity with Spider-Man by 95%. Like, this is something that has got to be in there, right? It's a pinnacle. It's a pivotal part of Spider-Man and the Spider-Man character in general. That's really the whole Spider-Verse. So glad it's in there. For example, like Penny doesn't have it, which makes sense. Lord knows they add Miles down the line, maybe he'll have it. But other than that, there's not really anything I can give you for this. Be on the lookout for it if you can, although admittedly pretty hard to see. Now, getting into the combo, which I pretty much have kind of alluded to this entire time. So obviously you're going to be constantly web swinging at all times, at like at all times. You get 3 web swings. They've got a pretty decent little cooldown before you get one back. I want to say it's probably about 3 seconds, maybe 4 or 5 at the absolute most, before your web swings refill. And again, you get 3 of them. Constantly web swinging, constantly using your wall crawling, aka sticking to walls to your advantage, and trying to drop on people from higher vantage points when possible. Obviously, for example, this map, let's say like 80% of this map is a little bit more flat and open, so you might not get too many super vertical positionings off of this map. But Tokyo 2099, for example, off the top of my head, is literally skyscrapers. So and there's a lot of verticality to these maps. So constantly web swinging, preferably to the back line. You are looking for the squishies as Spider-Man. So again, first and foremost, healers, because it's particularly difficult for any of the healers right now to like really deal with Spider-Man. So you're probably gonna be trying to swing into the back line to get some damage, if not just take out a healer. And then secondary after that is other damage dealers, like our boy Punisher here. Spidey is gifted to have a little bit extra health than some of the other damage dealers. And tanks absolutely last, because although the damage that you deal with Spider-Man is great, if they're not already at half health, chances are you'll probably lose that fight to that tank without support from another teammate. So healers / supports first, and then other damage dealers second. I'll talk about this in all the videos. Picking your targets is the most important thing. So swinging, then firing your web clusters, like I said, all the time, and get a spider tracer like you just saw. Then you go in with your get over here, pop them up with your amazing combo, and then either try to get another web cluster off, or use your normal attack, because they don't really show it, but your normal attack is kind of like a double-handed hammer swing down, and then preferably finishing off with your ultimate, or just, you know, web swinging in and dropping your ultimate on a lot of people's heads. All super effective strategies. Again, this character is high ceiling, so it's going to take you a lot to get a handle on this character, but it's pretty much what there is to Spider-Man. With that said, we're going to get into this gameplay here. Made this far in the video, I appreciate you. Hope that all is well. And until the next time, we'll be right here at the Lair.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Only my neighborhood is now like multiple realities. Cool, right? Life is hard sometimes, but at least maybe I can make it easier for other people.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
Yeah, you're a famous pop star, right? That is so cool.
Countdown now. When this is over, maybe you could add me to your playlist.
Well, I'm really more of a classic rock kind of guy, you know. But hey, you know, you don't happen to know Dazzle, do you?
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
Don't hold your emotions. Let them out.
Oh boy, here they come!
I like the
What foul creature has Namor summoned now?
need some help.
Gonna get sticky!
Light is God.
Take a nap.
Spider-Fist is ready to punch! And stay down! Spider Fist is ready to punch. Yeah. You'll be all right. Someday. Gonna get sticky. Yeah. Gonna get sticky. Huh? Okay, let's try it. I got your back.
My power
Round and pound.
God.
It's the grand finale! The perfect hex!
And stay down.
Magneto!
Spider Fist is ready to punch. Yeah.
The enemy is here.
Gonna get sticky. Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
Double KO!
Spider Domain is
You need
not
to
for the
stop
weak.
that vehicle in its tracks!
Too bad for you. A disappearing act.
Now I've got something to prove.
Climate change.
Yeah. You can count on me.
Maximum pulse! I am...
Force have found us.
You'll be all right. Someday.
Better stop that vehicle!
Gonna get sticky.
Friends, gather around!
I'm not a vengeful person, but today I'll make an exception.
They've made it halfway! Stop them!
Hey, we make a pretty good team. Yeah. Spider Fist is ready to punch. Better than Aunt May's chicken soup. Yeah.
Better stop that vehicle!
Feeling good. Crack the whip.
I suck!
Back in the swing of things.
You stop them in their tracks!
Sorry,
Yeah.
no escaping us now. You needed some help.
Say fireworks?
Hey, we make a pretty good team.
Help here.
Spider Fist is ready to punch. Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
Double KO! That's
That
3!
thing's coming threes.
They are upon you. Beware!
Yeah. You can count on me. Ugh.
Need some help.
Friends, gather around!
Armor. Cool.
The perfect hex!
get sticky!
They are upon you. Beware! I am Asgard's might! Maximum pulse!
Hey, we make a pretty good team!
Help, friend.
Yeah.
You stop them in their tracks.
Need some help.
Only 60 seconds left.
Behind you, my friend!
I'm not a vengeful person, but today I'll make an exception. Yeah.
Down to 30 seconds.
You'll be all right.
There's still a chance
Someday.
to stop them. Friend,
Gonna get
gather
sticky!
around.
Feeling good.
The final 10 seconds.
Match with the amazing Spider-Man! Round and pound. Yeah. You can count on me.
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner. Double KO. That's
Gonna
3.
get